Saharideta is goal of SMC and philosophy of STP, Stato Dynamic Progress Vision. So it is a relevant communication approach in my perspective, as I have seen. The communication goal is to reach to the era of Satyug it talks about. So Dr. Yug and Satyug. So finally, the conclusion is that both of them has the non-linear tendency. Solidaries or individuals reach to the para stage while communicating, especially because of the lower attention, new media technology, speeding the process of creating ideological tracks based on different approach. So as per the level of engagement,
we have Trishna Acharya. The topic of her presentation is approaching SMC, that is Sadharanikaran model of communication. I think from the perspective of statodynamics, progressivism, you have exactly 10 minutes.
So approaching Sadharanikaran model of communication from the perspective of statodynamic progressivism. So basically paper has been written jointly with the Dr. Nirmalmani Adhikari. So I've got the benefit to share my ideas, views in statodynamic progressivism and its implication in the communication sector. So I'm going to skipping some of the introductory slides. So basically we are talking about the abstract. This study is focused on exploring the Sadharanikaran model of communication from statodynamic progressivism. SMC and statodynamic progressivism both are propounded by the Dr. Nirmalmani Adhikari, where Saharideta is the goal of communication in SMC and statodynamic progressivism is based on the Saharideta philosophy. It itself established that for statodynamic progressivism, Sadharanikaran model of communication can be a communication approach, but basically here I'm trying to approach SMC from the statodynamic perspective. So I want to see how SMC is more statodynamic, progressive theory from the communication dimension. So in this paper, basically what I have done is you will get to read the elaborated paper in published form later on. But what I have done here is I have done the overview of the Sadharanikaran model, overview of the statodynamic progressivism. Then I have approached the Sadharanikaran model from statodynamic progressivism. Some of the ideas will be given by the keywords also. So basically, eccentricity, de-westernization, commensurability, continuum approach, ideological trap, Sadharanikaran model of communication. These are the keywords here. SMC has been basically propounded by Dr. Nirmalmani Adhikari in 2003, whereas statodynamic progressivism has been propounded first in the speech form in 9 speeches, and then it was published in a book. Now we are doing the discourse basically. So here statodynamic progressivism is exploring its elements of communication to escape the contemporary ideological trap, especially to make communication as instrumental to obtain the continuation of non-linear journey towards the yoke of truth by appropriate combination of static or permanent aspect and the dynamic aspect of the social, political, cultural and economic sector. So this is the introduction. So basically I am skipping the overview of SMC and also the overview of the statodynamic progressivism, but I will be stating what were the 9 speeches. One was the relevant thought for the contemporary era, when he has talked about the intellectual discourse throughout the world, including the Huntington's and Fukuyama's very popular debate about class of civilization and end of history, where one said that democracy or the democratic values will overlap and that will be the only one which will be governing the world, whereas the class of civilization says there will be the identity politics. People will do the hatred politics and there will be more. So from here we get some sort of ideological war is going, and when some of the election happened where ideology was not major agenda, it showed that we are in the ideological crisis. And next we we were doing the craft of evidence and pramaya. That was the second speech, which also shows what would be the evidence and logic for this. And next one is how the paradigm shift will happen because of the dynamic progressivism, liberation from the bondage itself. A person with the attribute of dynamic progressivism should always connect with their roots and feel liberated from the inertia, and there should be a mobility for the progress. So basically, it has been given as a key for the liberation from the bondage, commensurability, and incommensurability is basically what to compare with what. Basically, we are comparing in a very long measures that has also created a crisis and a communication gap. We talk a lot about the miscommunication and things like that. It is because of that non-linearity in the journey of reader that is analysis and individual society and state, who are the stakeholders of this are given in this speech, and there is a dynamic coordination which also gives the amalgamation of different ideas which are put together to bring the dynamic progressivism into the shape. And then we have talked about the structure also in the ninth speech. I'm in a very hurry, that is why I'm saying I, but it is not me, it is the theory of Dr. Nirmal Mani Adhikari. So, and we are very fortunate to read and do this sort of intellectual discourse in the university level. So I'm very much glad and I'm very thankful towards it. So I'm seeing my colleague also who is in a hurry. So without further ado, I'm going to share my findings. So as I have already said, both comes to the point where Saridata is goal of SMC and philosophy of STP, dynamic progressivism. So it is a relevant communication approach in my perspective, as I have seen. And then communication parties in SMC are Saridata. Where the STP they are in the individual society and state level, where they are the sentimental being who has the powers or who are people with the emotions. Both agree on that. So next one is in SMC also it talks about the powers, moods and emotions. So similarly, individuals are allowed to be sentimental, so their interaction or their statement will affect the larger number of public. They should be very much empathetic, and what impact it would create. People should be very thoughtful. It has said in that way. So in Sandesha, to communicate the Sandesha in SMC, involves in copy Vedana and the process for the number is dynamic progressivism stresses in the Prama, knowledge on the basis of evidence and Pramaya logic. So SMC and STP both has the sense as a challenge of the communication. There are so many technological advancements which also can adapted. SMC talks about the social and STP talks about the false consciousness because of the ideological trap. So both of them agrees about the communication barriers. Both of the theory talks about the Sandarbha. So we should not go into the might is right, and we should come to the era where truth will prevail. So that is the approach of STP, and SMC also endorse that. So another one is the feedback. So basically in feedback, SMC talks about the commensurable and continuum approach to create a relevant, era-relevant thinking. So there should be a shift in thinking labels with the constant interaction and things like that. So communication goal is to reach to the era of Satyug it talks about. So Dr. Yug and Satyug. So finally the conclusion is that both of them has the non-linear tendency. Solidaries or individuals reach to the para stage while communicating, especially because of the lower attention, new media technology speeding the process of creating ideological tracks based on different approach. So as per the level of engagement, individual reach to question the Madhyama and Vaikhari level in hurry to respond or react. This creates the social some sort of social conflict. That is why non-linearity can help to bring criticality and deeper understanding in the human beings. Dynamic, essentially as the dynamic characteristic, it is established for the core philosophy and in the that it is dynamic in its implication, fits because design thinking, engineering, artificial intelligence, conflict management, exploration of classical text, it has been, SMC has been studied, implying it to the various fields. That is why its implication can be dynamic. So core philosophy is static, but the implication can be dynamic. So from when we see from SMC, from the statodynamic progressivism, it seems relevant. These are my references.